Interesting. If you asked me this question 20, 30 years ago, it would be a different answer today. But one thing I do know that has shifted or pivoted and is become important starting out and to build things that is this one saying, visibility trumps ability. So
I like it.
content and
Okay.
that and being visible. How are they watching me, reading me, hearing me, listening to me and that like and that and doing that. And so
Yeah.
visibility trumps ability. I'll share a quick story. So there's a young gentleman in my organization and realtors are like, "Man, the guy must be just killing it." Well, he was rookie of the year, and let's just say his production was okay. I'm just being kind,
Yeah.
but from his content and from his visibility and everything else, that the perception is that he is crushing it. That being said, now after 1 year, he ended up landing developments and contracts and listings for projects and development. And in his like just in his first year, at the end of his first year, and they're like, holy crap! But he's visible and he's
Yeah.
out there and nobody knows that he's brand new and nobody knows that he's not really that good yet, right? And he's
Yeah.
creating that exposure and that visibility and that. And so I think you can't fight that, right? You
Right.
cannot ignore that. With that said, the visibility is important because they don't know whether you're any good or not. But secondly, there's you gotta be putting out content that is pull, not push. So the
Interesting.
content,
Okay.
the difference between pull content and push content. So there's today 107,000 agents put a Canva infographic 2.25 out today,
Yep.
which drives me absolutely bat crazy, right?
Yeah.
Because every consumer out there is like, so what and what's in it for me?
What does it mean? Yeah.
Right? And so we're making a ton of noise. It's all the same boring shit. It's not pull, it's all push, and there's so much noise and everything else in that. So here's what you have to understand. You have to understand what is the consumer thinking? What content are they looking for? What are they worried about? What are they afraid of? What are the challenges they're having? What are the questions or the myths or the understandings that the buyers and sellers are having in your marketplace? That is what's going on in their heads when it comes to buying and selling real estate. So your content needs to be pull content that goes, yeah, I'm thinking the same thing, click. Yeah, I'm wondering about the same thing, click and that, right? So pull content, not push content. There's no shortage of push. It's all push. There's so much push and there's very little pull content, right? Like I'll say the number one thing that a seller wants to know and wants to know is that how do you manage certain time frames with them selling their home. So there's an NAR audit. I showed you that in that workshop. There's that audit of those categories and those topics that people are
Yeah.
saying that they want to know. The number one thing that a seller wants to know is how do you manage specific sellers' time frames in selling their home? That's the number one thing surveyed that people want to know from a seller standpoint. Do you see
Nice.
anybody that's put content out based on based on that?
No.
Nobody, right? And that is a survey that says
Maybe me
that's the
tomorrow.
number,
Wait. Maybe me
right?
tomorrow.
Exactly.
I
But
like
that's
that.
the number one thing surveyed that North Americans want to know
Yeah.
is how does a listing agent navigate specific time frames and expectations on a seller's timing and that with the sale of their home and that. And I've never seen anybody put that content out. And that's the number one topic that was surveyed in North America last year that a seller was looking for. Right. And a
Interesting.
buyer was their number one content is that how do you help me with the process of elimination with so much inventory and so many pairs of shoes on the shoe shelf and that? How do you help us navigate the process of elimination on selecting the right appropriate property for what we're doing for, right? And that's
Yeah.
what buyers are looking for in that. And how much content is out there? No, 107,000 agents today put out 2.25.
That's crazy.
Right? And there's not what we're not understanding what the consumers are, right? So think about these questions. The consumer, how can I, how should I, how do I, right? And put the buyer's question at the end of that, and there's your content for pull.
I love it.
Marketplace. That's the content they're looking for, the pull. Now, I'm going to add one little nugget here and one maraschino
Yeah.
cherry in there is that you're not only putting content out, but make sure there's contact capturing happening with the content. So why
Okay.
put out content when there's no contact capturing. So provide a resource guide in exchange for their information that is relevant to the content you're putting out.
Right.
Contact capture,
I love this.
right? So visibility trumps ability and pull content, not push content, and contact capture to that content. And
Yep.
remember, 87% of consumers now are switching up. So veterans, be very afraid.
Yes. I
And
think,
rookies and newbies, the opportunity for client and relationship market share takeover is at an all-time high in 2026.
yep.